Thank you for joining this webinar for those relatively new to self-assessment. Before we start today's webinar, I'll just mention our other webinars in this series that will help you with your self-assessment tax return. They are New to Self-Assessment, Budgeting and Payments, Starting Your Online Tax Return, the Employment section of your online tax return, the Self-Employment section of your online tax return, the UK Property section of your online tax return, other income and tax reliefs on your online tax return, finishing your online tax return, and your self-assessment calculation and payments. Providing an insight into self-assessment, we'll be looking at what self-assessment is, who must send a tax return, key dates, and tailoring your tax return. We'll also be looking at an overview of the main tax return, finishing your tax return, including checking your information and the declaration, and where to find further help and support. So what do we mean by self-assessment? Self-assessment is a system HM Revenue and Customs, or HMRC, uses to collect income tax. For many people, tax is usually deducted automatically from their wages and pensions under pay-as-you-earn, or PAYE. People and businesses that have other income, however, may need to report it in a tax return. An important part of self-assessment is record keeping. How you keep your records is up to you. It could be a spreadsheet, or you can use software, whatever suits you and your business. Keeping good records and keeping them up to date makes good business sense, as not only do you know what's going in and out of your business, but it also means that when the time comes, you'll pay the right amount of income tax. So who needs to send us a tax return? You'll need to send us a tax return if, during the last tax year, from the 6th of April to the 5th of April, any of the following applied. You were self-employed as a sole trader and earning more than £1,000 before claiming any allowable expenses. You were a partner in a business partnership. Your total taxable income was more than £150,000 for 2023 to 2024. You had to pay the high income child benefit charge. If you have any untaxed income, you may also have to send us a tax return. This could be money from renting out a property, tips and commission, income from savings such as bank and building society interest, income from investments and dividends, or foreign income. You could choose to complete a tax return to claim some income tax reliefs, or to prove that you're self-employed because you want to claim for tax-free childcare or maternity allowance. If you're not sure whether you need to send us a tax return, you can use our online tool, which takes you through a series of questions to determine whether you need to send us a tax return. It's confidential and for your information only. Details will not be sent to HMRC. It's important to be aware of certain dates in the self-assessment calendar. So let's have a look at these now. The tax year starts on the 6th of April each year and ends on the following 5th of April. So, for example, the tax year 2024 to 2025 starts on the 6th of April 2024 and ends on the 5th of April 2025. If you need to send us a tax return, but you haven't sent us one before, you'll need to tell HMRC by the 5th of October following the end of the year to which it relates. You do this by registering for self-assessment, which we'll talk about shortly. If you're sending a paper return by post, you'll have until midnight on the 31st of October following the end of the tax year to which it relates. For example, if you are sending us a tax return for income received during the tax year ending the 5th of April 2024, HMRC has to receive the return by midnight, 31st of October 2024. If you are doing an online tax return, you need to submit this by midnight on the 31st of January following the end of the tax year. So, as per our previous example, your tax return for the year ending the 5th of April 2024 must be submitted by the 31st of January 2025. This is also the same date for paying any tax that you may have to pay, including the first payment on account. This date applies to both paper and online returns, so by midnight on the 31st of January. There's usually a second payment deadline of the 31st of July, the second payment on account. Payments on account are advance payments towards the tax bill for the following tax year. You can find more information about payments on account on gov.uk. We'll be looking at how to pay your tax bill a little later on in the webinar. The deadline for sending us your tax return is different in some cases. This may be because you wish to have any tax you owe collected from your pay or pension. You're a trustee of a registered pension scheme, a non-resident company, or HMRC advises you of a different filing date. Again, you can find more information on gov.uk. Here's some information about tailoring your tax return, which you can do if you're filling in your tax return online. If you tailor your return, you'll only be presented with the pages or sections you need to complete based on your circumstances, rather than having to go through every section of the main tax return, something you would need to do for the paper version. To do this, you need to answer yes or no to a series of questions over 3 pages. You must answer all questions and, should you answer yes to any, you may be asked for more information, such as how many employments you have. If you're unsure about a question, you can select the Help About link for more guidance. Page 1 asks if you received income as an employee, from self-employment or from a partnership. In other words, your main types of income. The next page asks questions about other income, such as interest from banks and savings accounts, dividends from shares, and pensions. You'll be asked about losses on other taxable income on this page, but please note this is not about claiming losses from, for example, self-employment or income from property. This will be entered on the appropriate supplementary pages for self-employment and UK property income. The third page is mainly about tax reliefs, including pension contributions, charitable gifts, married couples allowance, and marriage allowance. You'll also be asked about any refunds you may receive from HMRC or Job Centre Plus during the tax year. Don't enter refunds received from your employer or from HMRC for previous years. Once tailored, only those sections you need to fill in will be presented for completion online. You can, however, tailor this further by adding sections should your circumstances change. To delete a section, go to that section and then delete it at the bottom of the page as directed. Our webinar, Starting Your Online Tax Return, part of this series of webinars, provides more information about tailoring your tax return. Let's have a brief look at the sections that make up the main tax return. The online and paper versions will ask for the same information. For the purposes of this webinar, we'll look at each section of the online version to give you an idea of the information we'll ask you. Remember, your individual tailored return may not include every section. The first part asks you for personal details, including your date of birth and national insurance number. Some information will already be shown from your records, such as information supplied to HMRC by your employer, but you'll still need to make sure these details are correct. We then need to know about your main types of income. So, are you employed, self-employed, and so on? Remember to tell us about any tax that you've already paid, or your tax bill will be higher than you expect. After telling us about your main income, we'll ask about other income. Here, you can enter details of any interest you receive from UK banks and building societies. Even if tax has already been deducted at source, you still need to provide us with the details. You'll also need to report income received from UK dividends. You don't pay tax on the first £2,000 of dividend income, but you will still need to show this on your tax return. This is because we need to know the total income you receive so that you pay the correct amount of tax. If you receive other dividends from authorised unit trusts, open-ended investment companies and investment trusts, these will also need to be reported, as well as details of foreign dividends you receive. If you're in receipt of a state pension, you can tell us in this section. You don't need to tell us about any state pension credit, Christmas bonus, or winter fuel payment. Again, this information may have been provided to HMRC already by the Department for Work and Pensions, but please check details are correct if this is the case. Please note that your state pension is a 4-weekly payment, which means you receive 13 payments each tax year. If you're in receipt of other UK retirement and annuities, add them together and enter the gross amount in the box provided. There is a separate box where you can enter any tax that has been deducted. It will also ask about any other income you've received which hasn't been included in the supplementary pages. For example, casual earnings and commission. You'll be asked about taxable state benefits you receive. Not all state benefits are taxable, so only include those that are taxable. Examples of taxable benefits include any taxable part of incapacity benefit you receive, as the first 28 weeks aren't taxable. Contribution-based employment support allowance, ESA, and job seekers allowance. Please check which benefits are taxable on gov.uk. In this particular box, add up all other taxable state benefits, such as bereavement allowance or widow's pension, widowed mother's allowance, carer's allowance, and so on. Again, please check gov.uk for benefits you need to include here. Next, we'll ask about any tax relief you're claiming, such as payments to registered pension schemes and annuities. You can also tell us about charitable giving, such as gift aid payments here. If applicable, please also tell us about blind persons relief, student loan and postgraduate loan repayments, high income child benefit charge, and marriage allowance. The final parts of the main tax return are about finishing your tax return. This includes underpaid tax and other debts in your tax code, and what to do if you've paid too much tax. It's important that you complete the sections relevant to you, as it helps us to work out how much tax you need to pay or what we may owe you. If you're employed, any tax due will be deducted at source under Pay As You Earn. If you're in receipt of a company or private pension, tax, if due, will also be deducted at source. If you've underpaid tax, it's possible to collect tax you owe by reducing your tax code. A lower tax code means that you pay more tax at source. The tax taken from your pay by your employer or pension provider will go towards the underpaid tax. The amount of unpaid tax we can collect through your code, however, must be less than £3,000. But note that other restrictions apply. As you work through the online tax return, you can find out more information by selecting the Help About link. For paper returns, this can be found in the accompanying notes. If you're self-employed, as well as being in receipt of income from employment or a pension provider, we can't collect Class 2 national insurance contributions via your tax code. Class 2 national insurance contributions are payable by self-employed individuals, whether you're a sole trader or in a partnership, and is normally collected through your self-assessment. For more information about this, you can go to gov.uk or view our short video available on HMRC's YouTube channel. Please note that if you wish to have underpaid tax collected via your PAYE code, you must send us your completed tax return by the 30th of December following the end of the tax year if you're completing it online. If your tax code for the previous tax year or the current tax year includes a deduction for underpaid tax, you'll need to tell us here. Otherwise, enter 0. Even if you're not employed, please enter 0 to make sure your tax calculation is correct. If you're completing your tax return online, any underpaid tax that has been included in your tax coding will already be filled in. But please check to make sure the details are correct. If they are incorrect for any reason, you can amend them. If you select the Help About link on the online return, you can watch a short video about this. If, on the other hand, you're due a repayment, you can enter details of your bank or building society here, and we can arrange for the repayment to be paid directly into that account. For future reference, if you've made a card payment to us already, we will automatically repay to that account first. You can also nominate someone else to receive the repayment on your behalf by entering their details here. Here, we'll be asking if any of the figures you've entered on the return are provisional. You need to let us know why only provisional figures have been included and when we can expect to receive the final figures. And this can be done on the following screen. If you feel you need to tell us about any information to support your entries on the tax return, you can tell us here. For example, if you receive more than one private pension, you can provide a breakdown of the total figure you have already entered in that section. The online version for other information is restricted to 700 characters, including spaces. Also, you can only use certain characters. If you've signed the form on behalf of somebody else, for instance, if you have a power of attorney, you'll need to tell us. You'll be asked to complete your name and address and the person you've signed on behalf of. Next, you'll be asked to check your return. You'll be presented with a list appropriate to your circumstances when you tailored your tax return. If you've missed anything, you can go back and, if necessary, return to the Tailor Your Return section to add any parts you may have missed. You'll also be presented with a list of sections you've completed, and if you've missed anything, you can revisit any part and amend it to include all the relevant information. This will also include details of any supplementary pages that accompany your tax return, such as the employment and self-employment pages. These pages will come with explanatory notes to help you complete them. You can also find more information on our self-assessment help and support pages. After you've filled in the online tax return, you'll be taken to the View Your Calculation section, which is covered in our webinar, Your Self-Assessment Calculation and Payments. The declaration is the final part of your online return. You must read and agree the statements presented on this page before finally submitting your online tax return. Select Submit only when you're happy with the information you've provided. If you're filling in a paper version, you must sign and date the tax return before sending it to us by the deadline. I'll just remind you about our other webinars in the series. They are New to Self-Assessment, Budgeting and Payments, Starting Your Online Tax Return, the Employment section of your online tax return, and the Self-Employment section of your online tax return. Other webinars in the series include the UK Property section of your online tax return, other income and tax reliefs on your online tax return, finishing your online tax return, and your self-assessment calculation and payments. You can find out about these webinars and about other products to help you with your tax return on our HMRC email updates, videos and webinars for self-assessment page on gov.uk. We're nearly at the end of the webinar now. Here's a summary of what we've covered today. In today's webinar, we've looked at what self-assessment is, who must send a tax return, key dates, and tailoring your tax return. An overview of the main tax return, finishing your tax return, including checking your information and the declaration, and where to find further help and support. If you need more help, our full range of help and guidance can be viewed online from your mobile, tablet or PC at any time. Goodbye.